Hey, Holly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
me?
yeah. I can hear you perfectly.
Ah, so perfect. I thought to myself, what is happening? What's going on?
I know I'm so technologically challenged. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Cool. Thank you for joining us. Totally
Thanks so much
appreciate
for
that.
having me.
You look great. I love the top. Oh, wow.
Thank you. I thought, I've been in like casual wear for the last few days. Why not just like, if you
Tell
look
me
good, you
about
feel good, you know?
it. Tell me about it. We've been doing it all the time. So every day when I do these interviews, I look forward to it because at least I get to wear something less, homey, at
Yeah,
least
like you have
for
a
this interview.
reason
So
to
how are
to
you
look
keeping?
good.
How have you?
It's been, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just trying to stay positive, try to keep myself busy. I think that's the most difficult thing for everyone is trying to find things to do. I was saying to someone like, I have so much to do, but I still feel like bored because I'm
Mm,
not going out and I'm not like seeing people and I'm feeling like I'm not doing anything, even though my days are full. And I think that can be quite difficult, especially if you're a busybody like
def-
I am. I'm always doing something. So it's weird to feel like I'm static.
Is it? So how have you been spending your time? I know you and Mimi have been baking. I've seen some of those videos on your Instagram. So if you can take us through a day of what you do during the lockdown, how has it been like for you?
It's been good. It's been awesome is before the lock, about a week or so before the lockdown, when the president announced that we couldn't have gatherings of more than 100 people, like the entertainment industry just kind of stopped. All
Definitely.
our shows got cancelled. So I just decided it looks like we're heading towards a lockdown. I'm going to come home from Johannesburg and spend some time with my family. And it's been really nice to spend time with my little sister, spend quality time with her that I don't always get to spend because I'm always on the road or I'm, at my place in Joburg. So that's been really nice to spend quality time. I usually wake up, I do some emails, respond to people. Sometimes I'm doing shooting like live content or recording music. Sometimes I'll spend the day with Mimi. And we'll bake or we'll do some homework or go into the garden and that's really nice. I think it's kind of reminded me how important family is. You get so busy in work
And
that
then
it's
you
been really nice to come home and feel grounded again.
absolutely. And for you, and I always ask this to almost everybody I speak to, like what has the coronavirus pandemic done for you in terms of mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you are a spiritual person? Has it taught you
Mm.
something? And how are you maintaining your sanity during all this?
It's been quite difficult because I'm a type 1 diabetic.
Mm,
So my risk, if I get coronavirus, the risk of me having serious health implications is quite high. So I've been feeling very anxious. My anxiety is very elevated at the moment. I'm a little bit OCD, like I'm sanitizing all the time if I go out. I'm, really cautious of touching things, touching any people. So it's been quite a difficult experience for me going through this and just feeling like obviously being at risk, but feeling like I'm even more at risk because I have an immunodeficiency already. And that can be quite difficult. And that's what I keep saying to people is we're staying at home for ourselves, which is really important because we don't want to get it, but we're also staying at home to not spread it to people who are
yeah.
most vulnerable. And that's been something that's really kind of opened my mind. I think that things and decisions we make don't just affect us. It has such a knock-on effect. And that's been quite interesting for me to learn, I think. But I think as spiritually and mentally, I'm trying to just keep a positive mindset. I'm
Mhm.
trying to only listen to kind of like what the Minister of Health is saying and the advice that we're getting from professionals and not try to listen to all this kind of hearsay because I think that's when it starts to
It gets,
spiral and I start feeling very anxious. Yeah.
yeah, I've stopped watching news that is just talking about negativity over and over again. We know it's
Yeah.
negative, we know it's happening, but can we just like not get too much of that in our brains? That's what I've started doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in terms of Holly Ray, for those who don't know who you are, and I don't like asking this question. I hate answering myself, but I mean it's an important question to ask. Holly? Who is Holly for people who've known of your music career for the past couple of years, but who don't know who this young lady is?
I think Holly Rey is a singer, songwriter. Music has always been such a big part of my life and who I am. I'm very much like a family orientated person. I've always been quite an introvert. So music has always been the way I express myself and the way I communicate best. When I was in high school, music was my thing. I didn't play sport. I didn't do much extramural activity except for music. So it's always been the core part of who I am as a person. And I signed my first record deal when I was 14, 15. I signed a publishing deal when I was 14, and then my first record deal when I was 15. So I started learning about the industry from a very young age, and I was lucky that my mother really instilled learning about the business of the music in me. She, as soon as I said, I want to be a musician, I want to be a singer, she was like, okay, how does the business work? How does that all work? So I think that that's been a really critical part of my journey, is making my business work for me. And I think like just, I was raised by a single mom and raised by my gran who helped me. So I think that's also just really instilled how important it is to be like a fiercely independent woman and own who you are and own your business and own yourself. And that's something I've always applied to my music as well. And I think that when Deeper blew up, I was so ready for that moment in my career because of that. So yeah, I think that's kind of me in a nutshell, I hope. I eat, sleep, breathe music. I eat, sleep, breathe my family and my community that are around me. And those are things I'm really passionate about.
So who would you say is a favorite musician, or who are some of your favorite musicians who inspire your music? Who are those people?
That's so hard because I feel like as an artist, like I'm such a fan of music as well. So I listen to so much, like I consume so much music. I think one of my biggest influences is Tracy Chapman. She's been a big part of my life since I was a child. Her songwriting, artists like David Gray, artists like Busi Mhlongo, artists like Brenda Fassie. Vulindlela was like one of the first South African songs that I fell in love with. That and probably like Galagata by Mandoza were like my two favorite songs as a kid. So I think that there's been so much sort of old school music that's influenced me, but in terms of like at the moment in current music, I'm such a house head through and through. I love house music. I grew up listening to like Soul Candy sessions and that deep house vibe. It's such a big part of my music now, I think. And then I think at the moment, like I'm loving Amapiano. A lot of people criticize it, but I just think like if I want to get in a vibe, I listen to Amapiano. Like if I'm doing my makeup, if I want to be cute, it's Amapiano.
So will you make any of your upcoming music? Will you add some Amapiano in there? Are we gonna hear Holly Rey?
I think so. I think I don't think do some Amapiano remixes and play around with Amapiano. In terms of singles that I release solely, I don't know if I'd Amapiano, but I'd love to feature and do remixes and play around with it like that.
Cool, that's awesome. So 2019 was like a big year for you. So first you graduated with your honors in media and communications, and congratulations on that. But not only a graduation, cum laude, which is amazing. Then after that, you had your summer win, first female artist to win the best song in 20 years.
Yes.
What was that like for you? And your music was playing all over. What was that year like for you? And that moment to become the first female in 20 years, in 2 decades.
It was surreal. When it actually happened, I was in such disbelief. People always ask me, like, what was the moment like? And I honestly just sat in the chair that I was sitting in at the Summers. My manager was pulling me up to the stage. And I think only like halfway up did I realize what was actually going on. Because I wasn't even sitting with the other artists in the nominees area. I was sitting in kind of like the general VIP, not the VVIP.
You were sitting there.
Sorry?
Did you think you were not going to win? Were you not thinking about that? Is that why you were sitting in the other area?
Yeah, 100%. I just took my tickets, the ones I got given, and I sat with, and because I wasn't sitting with all the others, I was like, okay, that must be a sign, that, I'm not in the running or whatever. So I was honestly I was so happy to be at the Summers. It was my first year. I was just feeling really excited. I was meeting so many cool people. And I was like, okay, cool. I've had my highlights of the night. This has been amazing. Let me just enjoy the award show. And then when they announced my name, I was like shaking like this. When I went backstage, I saw Candace, Morisela, who was doing all the backstage interviews. She like gave me a hug, and I was just like shaking. And she was like, just calm down. It's going to be okay. I think she really brought me down to earth and helped me kind of just live in that moment. But it was really surreal, and I only found out about a week later that I was the first woman in 20 years to win the award, and that was incredible. For me, it was not so much winning the award, it was more about breaking that cycle and that chain,
Yeah.
and saying like no more. Like, female artists are incredible.
Yeah.
We have so much to offer, and it's not that there hasn't been incredible music for 20 years from female artists. It's just maybe that we haven't been recognized, we haven't been given opportunities, and for me it was exciting to break that kind of cycle.
Mm. So my question is, so when you had that first female artist in 2 decades, I guess it meant more to you because some way it tied to your research, the research that you did when you're doing your degree on uh, women inequality, and then you also
Yeah.
the research was on Uzalo. Can you just take us through that? Because I read it a little bit and I thought that was quite interesting, and how you chose Uzalo and how you saw all that together.
Yeah, so my degree was in communications and media,
Mm.
and we kind of were looking at a series and different forms of communication and media systems. And I was really interested in Uzalo because it is the biggest sort of telenovela in South Africa and branching into Southern Africa. They're kind of doing different voiceover languages, and it's transcending barriers in such a big way. And obviously, issues of gender-based violence, especially when I was doing my degree, we were seeing a lot of sort of conversations around gender-based violence starting to come up. And is the media propagating those ideas? Is it breaking down? So for me, I really wanted to look at Uzalo and whether or not it's kind of changing what we know as hegemonic gender identity. A woman does this, a man does that. These are the traditional norms that we're used to. Is it challenging that, or is it reinforcing it in society, being one of the biggest telenovelas? And it was so interesting to research Uzalo because obviously it has two female characters who lead the conversation on screen. And it was really, I got to learn quite a lot of Zulu watching a lot of Uzalo episodes, which was really cool. And I know quite a few members of the cast who are my friends. So it was so nice to be able to get their insights as well and how they feel playing those characters. So it was very, very interesting. And what I found is that Uzalo is challenging gender identity and pushing the boundaries in terms of what we traditionally think men and women should and shouldn't do in society.
And I found it interesting. So when I read that and when I got search findings, so it's very interesting because I watch Uzalo from time to time, and it's a very good show. And only when you highlighted was when I realized actually, yeah, when it started off, it was two male leads. Now
Yeah.
you've got this Dawn Tandika King who plays the lead. She's a lead now, so the roles have kind of swifted and changed, which is quite really impressive. And in the
Yeah.
music industry for you, how are you finding the quality, and what role do you believe as an artist you can play?
I think the thing about society is at the moment and in South Africa is not just my industry, but all industries are very male dominated. They do subscribe to hegemonic gender identity. You know, you'll find straight male men, that kind of dominating the industries that we're in. And I think for me, as an artist who has been given a voice, as an artist who's managed to push those boundaries a little bit and break a few cycles along the way, it's very important for me to continue that conversation, to create structures that empower more female artists so that we aren't dominated. And I know as a female artist, something that always bothers me is when we refer to female artists as, oh, she's a vocalist. And little things like that, you know, we need to stop doing, because we're not just singers who come jump on beats for DJs or producers. We're artists who are involved in the entire creation process from beginning to end. We play musical instruments, we run our businesses. So to start changing that conversation, I think, is very important for me. And what I always say to people is being able to open a door and leaving it open behind me, I think, is a philosophy that I follow as a female artist, and I hope I can start encouraging and helping other young women as well, so that we aren't dominated over in our industry.
Okay. And last year, a busy year for you, and your music career started booming from like maybe 2018 or 2017.
Yes.
Why did you keep on why did you stay on your studies? Because some people would have dropped and said, okay, you know, my music career, my passion is pulling me through. What made you stick it out? And where did you get the time? Because I'm sure you had a gig, then you had to study, then you had to do the research. What was your formula, and why did you stay on it?
It was so difficult. When I did my undergrad, I was still coming up. I hadn't really made it yet, so that was really easy. But when I did my honors, it was very, very difficult. I won't lie and be like, oh, it was so easy, I just sailed through it. I did my thesis like on airplanes and airports in the back of our tour bus. It was rough, I won't lie, but I loved what I was studying, so I think that made it a lot easier. It was so interesting for me to research, and that when you love what you're doing, it makes everything easier. And I think the reason I wanted to continue studying is because I'd done my undergrad and I didn't want to take a break between my undergrad and my honors, because my topics were linking, and I felt like, oh, if I take this break, I'm not going to want to come back, because I'm going to be so engrossed in music. I'm going to like just focusing on music. So I knew that I needed to finish my honors straight away. Whatever sacrifices needed to be made, I wanted that degree so badly. I wanted that education, and I was so hungry for the information that was in my degree. And I think that, like I said, it makes it easier when you're hungry for that degree or that information. So that's really why I decided to keep studying. I wanted to do my master's this year, because I want to go all the way up to PhD. But then I was like, oh, I'm getting so busy. And now I'm like, could have finished most of it during lockdown.
No, that's good. And in terms of your music, right? You said you've always loved music. When did you realize that you can make this a career? Because there's the love of music, then there's that time where you make the decision to just say, okay, I can sing, I'm going to make this a career. When was that transition?
I think when I was offered my first recording deal, that's when I was like, oh, this isn't just like, yeah, I was 14, 15, yeah. And it wasn't just like, oh, this is a hobby, because how I got found was I was just writing songs. I loved the guitar, you know, I was in the choir, I was just involved in music. And there'd be like little festivals where it was friendly and I'd just go play a few songs, or there'd be like a music venue and I'd go play a few songs there. And I was recording a bit of music, and there was a sort of like a talent scout person from a publishing company that saw me perform and was like, wow, this kid can write music, she has a future, we want to offer her a deal. And that's when I was like, whoa, there's deals involved. There's actual real money involved in music. I can not just sing in small venues, I can make a proper career out of this. And that's when, and I think also when my mom said to me, okay, cool, you need to learn about the industry. And I started learning about the industry, that I was like, wow, this is a real business model that I could follow.
And coming from a mixed race family, how's that like? How has that been?
It's awesome. I mean, I, you know, the thing is people always say like, what? People always ask me like, oh, is Mimi really your sister or whatever? And um, it's really, we have such a beautiful family dynamic. You know, I'm in a house full of women. It's me, my mom, my gran, and then when I turned 18, my little sister. And it's just been the most incredible journey. It's been really interesting. My mom always says to me, you know, she'd always like read about issues of like white privilege or issues about like how different it is to raise a child of color than a child who's white, and she never understood it. And she just said like, no, she really does understand it. She understands how different society is, how different we get treated as a society. And it's been such an interesting experience for me as someone who studied white privilege in my undergrad. It's been a really eye-opening experience. And I think like we take such little things for granted, like even with just like hair, teaching my little sister to love her hair, and love who she is, because there's no representation on television that teaches her to love her hair. And it's been the most beautiful thing. And I think what my family always says to other people is adoption is such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing that like that other families really should welcome into their environment if it's the right fit for them. So I'm really lucky. I just have beautiful women who've raised me. I have a beautiful family of just love and light, and I'm really lucky.
And what are the similarities between you and Mimi? Because I see your videos. I think you see, the funniest thing is I've seen her on her Instagram page. One of the funniest videos I saw when she was talking about, isn't it funny how when you don't have a boyfriend, no one likes you? Dololo. I saw that one. So what are the similarities between the two of you?
I think we both we quite loud and we like expressive, and you'll see we both talk with our hands, and
Yes.
we give each other, you know, like we really hype each other up. That's what I love about Mimi, is I can be like doing my makeup and I come on, she's like, oh girl, you look so good today. And I'm like, thanks girl. And I do the same for her. So it's so nice to have a little sister and we hype each other up. And I think we have the same sense of humor. We like to prank our mom a lot. Our poor mom has to put up with both our big personalities. And we love the same things. I think she's going through a phase where she's very like obsessed with her big sister, which I love, because she's always been like a mommy's girl. And now it's like, oh, Holly this and my big sister this, and you know, which is awesome for me because I get all the attention now and I just love it. She's like a little mini me. But yeah, I love, for me, I think I was at the perfect age to have a little sister. We have such a close bond. You know, she'll come visit me and we'll have cuddles, and it's just, we have a really beautiful relationship, I think.
Is it? So fun and interesting things about you that people wouldn't know about you. What are some of those? Because I just found out now that you can play an instrument. I don't know. You can play an instrument. I didn't know.
I can play a few.
Maybe I can research you now. But what instruments can you play?
I played the first instrument I learned how to play was the guitar, so I can play the guitar. I studied music on the drums, so I play the drum kit. When I was in prep school, I started a marimba band because I was so desperate for our school to teach us marimba, and they said, well, unless you start a marimba band and there's the need for it, we're not doing it. So I got everyone and I forced them to learn marimba because I wanted to learn marimba. And then I think I just play like other little instruments here and there. Like I can play a bit of keys. I like to jump onto funny instruments like harmonica or recorder, or I'm always trying to learn like cool, quirky instruments.
And in terms of your media studies and media and communication degree, are you going to, like, I mean, what's your dream in terms of your academic life? What's your dream for yourself?
So interesting, because originally I wanted to study political sciences. I actually got a scholarship to UCT to study political sciences, and I signed a recording deal the same year.
What made you change your mind from political science to media and communication?
Well, I signed a record deal the same year I got offered the scholarship, and the record company said, look, we can't, you can't be in Cape Town and we're in Johannesburg and it's just not going to work, you know. So I said, okay, cool. And then I started looking into other degrees, and then I was, you know, getting more into the music industry and understanding the industry. And I found that I thought that media and communications would be a good basis for my career that I'm already establishing as an artist. And then when I looked at things I was really passionate about and interested in, I was like, oh, maybe politics isn't it? What am I going to do with politics? I don't want to be a politician, and I don't want to be a political analyst either. I really would rather be a journalist or something that involves communication and media, and that's where my passion is. And I think that's when I changed my mind about a year later, because I took a gap year. And then that's when I decided, you know what, let me do a BA in communications and media.
I was just looking down here because I put down some questions here for you that I wanted to ask you. And in terms of your mom, right? What's your mom's favorite song? Your song that your mom loves the most. Then I'm going to ask you, maybe.
Ooh, that's a difficult one, because I think, you know, my mom's listened to so much music of mine over the years. I think she likes like anything acoustic that I do. Like if I just play something on the guitar, I think she likes that. I think she's my biggest, like she's the person I will go to and be like, do you think the song is good or bad? Because I feel like she's the most honest. People go, well, isn't she biased? And I'm like, no, she is so brutally honest, and that's what I love about her. So I think anything acoustic that I make. I think she doesn't like Deeper because she's heard it so much. She is so tired of that song. She's like listened to it way too much, and everywhere she goes, people are like, oh, I love it. So I think she's just like done with that one. So maybe the second single that I released, I think maybe is her favorite one that's out there.
Mm-hmm. And Mimi, what's? I mean, I know she's obsessed with the big sister. So she likes everything about a big sister. But what's one song? You know, if I want to get Mimi in the mood, one of your songs, which one would you play?
Probably. Oh, that's a tough one. She loves the collaboration that I did with DJ Somebody. It's an piano track, and she loves that song. She loves the Do Masilele parts. She's like, get this thing, and then we do it together. Like, I'll do my part, and then she does DJ Somebody and Do Masilele. She loves it because she just thinks the voice is so deep, and she like puts it on. So probably, yeah, I think that at the moment, that's her favorite song. But it's always changing, always a different one.
Absolutely. And what's your favorite meal? So you guys bake a lot, right?
Yes.
I haven't seen you guys making like a meal. Like, so what's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal that I cook or like someone else cooks?
Any meal.
Either. Okay.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, like if you say, Holly, what do you want to eat? It'll always be something that my grandmother cooks, because like my grandmother's food, granny's food is always the best. Especially if I've been away for a long time. I just want to come home to like a home cooked meal from my grandmother. I think the favorite thing that I cook is probably like roast chicken, like a full big roast. I love to do that, like a roast chicken, roast veggies, cauliflower and white sauce, like the big shebang. I think that's probably my favorite that I make. But I love to bake. Baking is, I find it a lot more fun. I enjoy it more than cooking. I can cook, but I really love to bake. It's just more rewarding, I think, as well.
And in terms of as an artist, right, when you look at your work, when you look at the creativity that you put on the stage, what was your vision for Holly Rey, the artist? So when you thought of this is the type of artist I want to be, what was your vision in terms from hair, makeup, style? What was that vision? And is that vision consistently pulling through, or do you have to come back and tweak here and there?
I think it's definitely something that is always changing. It's so interesting. So just before I released Deeper, I decided to kind of rebrand and refocus my image as an artist, because I was kind of like all over the place. I didn't really have a look. I wasn't really identifiable. So that's when I decided to do my hair exactly the same way. Like, you'll never see me without my ponytail. It's kind of like my little trademark. It's who I am. And then as I'm going as an artist, I think I'm always evolving in terms of my look. I think I'm not a high heel, that kind of girl. I'm a sneaker kind of girl. That's my brand. I will always choose a great pair of sneakers over a pair of heels any day. But I also like glitz, I like glam, I like sparkle. So it's finding a way to mix those things. And I think I'm slowly starting to find my comfort zone. But I think also as a young woman, just finding myself and who I am in fashion has been really interesting, not just as a brand, but as like an individual, as a person. Um, I've just turned 24, and I think only now am I like, okay, this is who I am as Holly, as an individual. And it's been so interesting to find ways to transition that into who I am as a brand. And it's been a lot easier the more I solidify myself as an individual.
Is it? And in terms of skincare routine, what's your skincare routine? Because most of our audience really want to know about your skincare routine. Your skin almost always is glowing. What is that? What do you use on your skin? Are you one of those who's like drink a lot of water? Last time I spoke to someone who was like, drink a lot of water just makes them pee. So for you,
Yeah. I think I'm really lucky. I've never had any serious like sort of skin issues, and I'm really lucky for that. I've never had sort of acne or breakouts or anything like that. I get the occasional pimple, and that's about it. But I do have dry skin, so because my skin's dry, I exfoliate quite a lot. I exfoliate 2, sometimes 3 times a week, depending on how dry it is. When I'm in Joburg, more because my skin's, peeling more and it needs more exfoliation. And then I just apply a lot of moisture. I apply a morning cream, I apply a night cream. I try to do face masks quite often because I just hate that feeling of having dry skin. So I know people who have oily skin are always trying to take the oil off, they toning, I'm the opposite. I'm trying to put it on all the time. But I think the important thing in skincare is just like keeping your skin clean. Like when you end of your day, take your makeup off. That's something I drill into myself, is taking the makeup off, because I know the next day I'm going to have issues if I don't take it off. Even if I don't wear makeup, just like toning my skin, trying to get the day's dirt or mess off of my face if I'm not taking a shower, so that nothing is getting into my pores and I'm not having any issues. I try to keep my skincare routine simple, because I find like when I try to add too many things, I forget to do it all, and then it just becomes too complicated for me. So I've kind of found what works. It's exfoliating. Also, I think skincare doesn't have to be an expensive thing. I think there's like a stigma around like, in order to have a good skincare routine, it has to be expensive and you have to be using all the expensive products. I don't think that's true. I think it's about finding what's right for you as a person. And any beauty routine, actually, it's about what's right for you as an individual. I know, like, I use a Garnier exfoliator, which I absolutely love, but then I use an Olay moisturizer, which is a little bit more pricey. But I think, it's about experimenting and finding what works for your skin and what makes your skin feel good as well. You must feel good.
So any dream collabos, who would you say you'd really love to collaborate with? So literally, if you could say 3 dream collabos of anyone, and why is that?
Oh, that's difficult. Okay, I think Pharrell Williams, because I think he's an amazing producer. Musically, I think he's incredible, and he seems to bring the best out of kind of the artist that he works with and the vocalist that he works with. I think, secondly, do they have to be living?
No.
Okay,
No.
then
Literally anyone.
definitely Brenda Fassie, because she's formed such a big part of my childhood as a female artist, someone I've looked up to since I could listen to music. And just because I feel like working with her would teach me so much. I feel like I would learn so much with just being in her aura for an hour. And that's something I'm big on, is learning and knowledge. That would be incredible for me. And then thirdly, Oh, this is difficult. I think someone who's really like popping, who's so relevant, and who's such an incredible person is Simi. She is
Wow.
such a humble, beautiful person. I just love her energy, and I feel like, again, I would learn so much and grow as a person. I'd come out of the experience as a better person for working with her.
And what's your dream for yourself? What's your dream for yourself as a woman, and what's your dream for yourself as an artist?
I think my dream for myself as a woman and an artist are quite similar. I think as a woman, I really hope that I can make a difference in the women that come after me. If I can change the industry a little bit, and it makes it a little bit easier, makes one other female artist not have to compromise who they are in order to make it, and not have to challenge their values in order to make it. I'd feel like I'd accomplished something as an artist and as a woman. I think that to open up the dialogue around what it is to be a female artist, if I can do that, I've accomplished something. I think my dream is just a person, it's just an individual, it's just to spread more happiness, more light, attract more happiness and more light, and just be happy in what I do and kind. I hope that everything that I do, I'm kind and I spread kindness. And I think if everyone does that, the world would be a bit of a better place. And I think I've come to a realization recently. My dreams and my goals are all about, does it establish more kindness? Does it spread more happiness? And if it does, I'm doing the right thing.
And then lastly, your new music. Any new music coming up, and what can you tell us about that? Like, what sound is it? Yeah.
Yes, so much music. I've been working on quite a few collaborations which will be coming out this year, which I'm really excited about, stepping out of my comfort zone quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
I've done a hip hop collaboration with Gigi Lemaine. It's featured on her project. Yeah, really excited. I've done some stuff with MFR Soul, with Major League, and then working on my own stuff as well. On Friday, I'm dropping just kind of like a lockdown
Oh
feel
yes, I
good.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yes, a Tracy Chapman cover of Fast Car, which I'm really excited
Oh,
about. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
wait, I love it too.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a cover remix. It's got an upbeat vibe. It dabbles in a bit of amapiano as well, which is really cool. And also, I'm going to be dropping a new single at the beginning of May. It's actually on the 1st of May, dropping a new single that's kind of a continuation of the Holly Rey sound, but adding new elements. I think the songwriting's a lot more developed. So I'm really excited about that, and then possibly dropping an EP at the end, towards the end of this year.
Okay. And what are the top 5 songs on your playlist right now? Outside of your song, the 5 songs that are on your playlist. If we were to look at Spotify and they'll say on repeat, what would those songs be? Or Spotify or Apple Music?
Oh, that's so hard because there's probably like 20 songs that are on repeat. But top 5 songs is Simi's new track, Love, Love, Love. You can see I'm a little bit obsessed with her. I have like a girl crush on Simi. She's just incredible. So definitely her new track. I think that there's a few tracks on the new Maparisa and Kabza EP or album EP that was released yesterday or the day before that I'm really liking. I can't say which one because I'm kind of still listening to the whole project. And then also I've been listening to a lot of Tracy Chapman again, just because it's bringing me down to like those vibes and lockdown. So probably Fast Car or Revolution by Tracy Chapman. I probably listed like 10 already. And then been listening to a lot of DJ Ganyani. Listening to his older stuff as well, listening to Emazulwini. What else have I been listening? Oh, The Weeknd. I love his new single, Bright Lights.
Okay.
Been just like loving that vibe. I think that's about 5, I think.
Holly, thank you so much. I'm just looking at the comments. People love you. Like, if you look at all the comments, I think even after this live, there are people who are like, Claudia's like, Holly is the bestest.
Oh.
Russell Russell saying, "What an artist." Um, then who else? I'm just trying to see if there are any questions that we might have missed before. Then Leave Ben saying, "This girl is pretty." Holy
Oh, thank you.
more Jess. Then there is Eric Mubai, who's saying, "Great music, keep it up." So basically, people really, really love your music. I mean, I'm not surprised because I mean they voted for best song.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it so much.
Cool, cool. But Holly, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We
Well,
totally,
thank
totally.
you for having me.
This was really, really cool. Thank you.
It was
And
really fun. Thanks so much.
will ask us where is that top from. I'm sure people want to know where's the top from.
This top, it's from Zara.
Ah, okay.
I have an
Cool,
obsession with Zara. It's a little bit old, so I'm not sure people will be able to find it, but yeah, it's from Zara.
cool, cool. All right, Holly. Have a great evening. Say hi to Mimi and the family.
I will do. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Cool, cool. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow for yet another cool live. And this, for those who just joined us, this live is still available on the Glamour Instagram page for the next 24 hours. So you can still have a look at it. And yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.